Hello YouTube, hello everyone, and please welcome back my regular guests, Coquipirate.
Let me just put this foreign object in my mouth. What could possibly go wrong? Hello.
That's what he said. As in the doctor, I mean.
You just had to go there, didn't you, Alex? That's what he said.
Anyway, let's say back to the PG rating, and yes, and also as you can hear, we are once again joined by you, James.
Hello there, this is James Uscroft, Ujames1978, as if you didn't know already.
Indeed. Now, where to begin on this story?
The end.
Okay, there are quite a few people who don't like this. I would say the Celestial Toymaker could have been done in half the time, but I don't dislike the concept. More the realization, but actually, without wanting to give too many spoilers for Koki, they do something kind of similar to this in the second Doctor's era, and it's far better realized. I think the main selling point is that the villain, the Celestial Toymaker, is played by Michael Gough, who, if nothing else, you should know as Alfred, Batman's butler in the Tim Burton films and then the Joel Schumacher films, but before Alfred regenerated into Michael Caine. Other than that, it is a bit like watching grown-ups playing children's games for over an hour, which is, to be fair, I can sort of imagine if people think that several consecutive days of cricket or snooker or darts, they're spectator sports, then why not tune in to watch adults playing hopscotch? And, well, actually, you do get to see the Cyril character electrocuted to death. That's another selling point. We will need the new series jar, because I'm going to say the first Doctor would remember Clara from Gallifrey. So this version of Clara has clown makeup and a silly high-pitched voice. And anything anything in this episode you have a problem with, I can just say Clara did it. So, but Koki, this was your first time watching the Celestial Toymaker. What did you think?
Um, it it's not one that I'm going to hate. It's not like a revolutionary or even especially well written episode. What it was a fun episode. You had like these little clown people. You had this little board game. It's something that it's not what I would expect from Doctor Who, but it's something that I can enjoy. As its own thing, I guess. Now just thinking about Jigsaw, I'd like to play a game or whatever he says. I've never seen Saw, but the whole
Yes.
Game arranger.
Yeah.
I guess I think about
actually, I have the complete Saw box set. I've only seen the first one. I've been meaning to get around to the but yeah, I see what you mean. Because they're captive. He's a sadist, and it's all a game to him. But yeah. Sorry, carry on.
I'm just thinking, and it's not like the Jigsaw invented it. Well, obviously Jigsaw didn't invent it, but I'm thinking about like the Riddler and all this other these kinds of bad guys that just love to toy with the protagonist and make them jump through hoops and whatever, which it can be fun. In this case, it was like I was going to use the word colorful. I know it's in black and white, but it had that sort of vibrant feel to it, if that makes sense. You had like the little soldier and the little kids game, and again, it seemed like a fun episode, I guess. Even if it's not like the kind of entertainment I'd expect from Who, the kind of stuff that I could find enjoyable.
Okay, and you, James?
What watching it the first time, I would have agreed with Koki, but I have now watched it 3 times, and obviously the original mystery is lost. You know, the little riddles which they ask at the end of each episode in the serial. Ooh, what's the answer? You know, the first one I guessed that it was chairs, that sort of thing. But watching it 3 times, no, there's nothing there. You can see that this was only meant to be shown once on a black and white television. No one had conceived of video recording or DVDs or the internet at that point.
Television was generally seen as a very ephemeral thing.
Indeed, like a live play. Again, something that would only go out once. And yes, basically, at the end of the day, it's a kid show. At the beginning, when we were doing the innuendo, which would be mild for a carry-on film, that really sums up this episode, because let's go back to the PG-13 rating. No, let's go back to the universal rating, or E for everyone. Because, no, we don't see Cyril being electrocuted to death. They're supposed to be in great danger. They're supposed to be the threat, but you never really feel it. This is one instance when the pendulum constantly swinging between, are we a dramatic science fiction series, or are we a children's program, swung so far towards children's program that there was any sense of drama was just pantomime. He's behind you. Michael Gough was so completely wasted as the Toymaker. Farscape, in my humble opinion, one of the 4 greatest television series ever made. The idea of an eternal ethereal entity who cannot be killed. You can destroy it, but it will always reconstitute itself. Moldus as that kind of entity in Farscape was infinitely superior. But it was...
Well, that's decades later.
Admittedly, but still, as you say, it could have been darker. It could have been more sadistic. The innocent-looking games could have had real terrifying booby traps, saws coming out, that sort of thing. But no, we mustn't frighten the kiddies, was the basic thinking behind it. So, to expand upon Koki's summation, fun, entertainment, not what you'd expect from Doctor Who, but only fun once. As I say, it's literally. How did you describe it before the podcast started, Alex? We're watching adults playing hopscotch for an hour and 20.
Yeah. In terms of the sense of jeopardy and danger, do we think of the weird characters like Cyril and the clowns and the king and the queen as mere avatars of the Toymaker's consciousness, or are they supposed to have some kind of sentience of their own?
I did get the feeling that they were still independent to some extent, that they were people who had been trapped by the Toymaker. The king and queen specifically say that if they can kill Stephen and Dodo, or trap them, whichever term was allowed by the BBC, then the Toymaker will let them go free.
Oh, okay. I must have. I think maybe I did remember that line unconsciously, because I wasn't sure if some of them were previously trapped or not. Because I think when the Toymaker makes a world, because could Cyril be? I suppose that would explain why he's a middle-aged man creepily dressed up as a schoolboy. So, okay. I must admit, okay, I find the first 3 episodes difficult to concentrate on, partly because it's telesnaps and partly because it's, yeah,
it's
never...
grown children, it's grown adults playing musical chairs.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things about the... Actually, sorry, okay, this is something that confuses me, okay? The whole kind of gambit is whether Stephen and Dodo can finish their games before the Doctor finishes his. Why doesn't he simply deliberately play it more slowly?
Oh, he does, and the Toymaker repeatedly says, "You're dawdling, Doctor. Go ahead to move number 1342, or whatever the number," and the game automatically moves
right,
ahead.
So the jeopardy kind of means nothing because the Toymaker can just force it ahead anyway.
Yeah.
So the whole thing's just cheating after cheating after cheating. Okay, apologies for my brain farts on this one. Okay, third question: is the Celestial Toymaker a Time Lord? Koki.
That thought had not occurred to me. I thought you were going to say if he was the Q.
No, he is not. The Time Lords are corporeal entities. It's been established that it is established in the serial that whatever kind of entity that Celestial Toymaker is, he is not corporeal.
Well, I mean, it started out a Time Lord because they knew each other. The Doctor and the the Celestial Toymaker had known each other or knew of each other.
Yes,
I thought they had met under similar circumstances.
They had met under. Yes, Michael Goff, the Toymaker, does actually say, "The last time I met you, you barely had time to turn around." The last time they met, it was exactly the same circumstances. It's just that at that time the Doctor had the good sense to get back into the TARDIS and run.
One of the unusual things about this serial, which, as I understand it, couldn't be helped, Koki may not know this, but it's having to write Hartnell out for health reasons. So he's actually missing for the middle chunk. I think he even had a double for his hand. How do you think that affected it, and how did you think that worked, Koki?
I didn't mind removing the Doctor from the equation. I think that it was a good way to deal with the hand they were dealt, I guess. Like I said, this is such a simple episode in its own right. It's very straightforward. There's not like a lot of depth to it. So. I like, for what it was, I think that they used their resources well.
It's a popcorn serial, and yes, talking of William Hartnell's absence, did either of you watch Peter Purvis's introduction at the beginning of the serial?
Oh, hang on.
Yes, because he did point. It's at the beginning of the playlist, which I linked, which will be down in the description.
Okay.
But he did say that this was the BBC's first attempt to write Hartnell out of the series. The idea was that having been made immaterial and invisible by the Toymaker, he would be replaced by a new hero, Tennant style.
Right. This would have reshaped this. We could play alternative histories. This would have shaped the future of Doctor Who very differently, because they would then not have had regeneration in the can, or in the canon, shall I say, and would have had to have written a whole new explanation for changing the Doctor every time. But to be honest, I wouldn't want the first Doctor to leave so unceremoniously. I think you want a bit of drama when you say goodbye to a Doctor. It's just it would have been the first time that they'd done this, which is kind of hard to imagine for a modern Doctor Who audience. People nowadays assume it was written into the canon, that it was always part of the idea behind the show. And Koki will have caught on it's Hartnell's health was the original reason. but we'll be coming to that. How weird would it have been if he'd just come back as a new actor and then you just got on with the show? It would have been quite kind of...
But that's the thing, it's impossible to know how we would have reacted at the time. You know, it's like saying if the clip frame had never been invented. Well, so this is something more... I'm desperately struggling to think of an example, but if the pen had never been invented and we use pencils for everything, we just kind of get on with what there is. And of course, other people would have come up with ideas. That's the problem. That's the problem within that. That's not the problem, but that's the point of invention. If you don't come up with it, someone will sooner or later. So if the Doctor hadn't introduced regeneration, somebody would have done it at some point in the next, 2,000 years? So, again, it would have just been the way that the series was. You know, we can only judge the series as it turned out with, as you say, regeneration just being something that was written in because of Bill's health.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about like other shows that have, I guess, similar concepts. What most readily comes to mind is the Avatar series, but they do reincarnation, so you know it's like 70 years later with an entirely new cast, even though it's fundamentally the same character. But yeah, never mind. Go on.
Okay. Okay. One other thing I'll say is now that we actually got a lot of Stephen and Dodo and their kind of character dynamic, having to work together under stress. So obviously, she's still a very new companion. Koku, how did you think that because they obviously had to work together? What did you think of their dynamic in this one?
I guess I don't think too much of it. Thinking about towards the beginning that Dodo's like, I'm not leaving the TARDIS. And I'm just thinking, yeah, that's exactly how I would have handled the situation as well. But, you know, the whole, I guess Steven, like, finds himself just trying to look out for Dodo a bit more. You know, it's like, let me grab her so she doesn't fall off. And it's like, no, he's faking it. Don't go over there. It's just, yeah. But, oh yeah, and Steven was willing to sacrifice himself towards the end, though the doctor said don't. I guess, you know, I kind of called him the Captain Kirk, the new Captain Kirk, but,
did Captain Kirk exist by this point? Sorry.
Oh, he might have done. Yeah. Just about. Star Trek would be a thing, but British people wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
we're now call Captain Kirk Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're actually, I think, reaching the point or at the point where Americans are watching Star Trek, we were watching Doctor Who, and each country was unaware of the other's show.
What a strange and alien world it was before the internet.
Interestingly enough, the first American viewers of Doctor Who would have been soldiers in Nam, because it was brought up for the American, I forget what the channel's called, but the American Armed Forces has its own channel. But yes, in any case. Okay, so basically my sort of feelings about this, if I try and imagine being a kid in the 60s, and it's raining outside, it's a Saturday, your best mate's on holiday with his parents, and there's only 2 channels, and the other channel could be showing days and days worth of cricket or whatever, and, you know, it's fun enough, it's entertaining enough, and things in those days were slower, because I said at the beginning, they could have told this story in half the time, but you had to have 4 episodes with cliffhangers, and and what have you, and it was definitely imaginative. So I'll open up the floor if anybody else wants to add anything.
Can't think of anything. I feel like there was something I was going to say, but it escaped my mind.
You asked about Stephen and Dodo in this episode, but no, there was nothing really about them as characters, no real development of their characters, just the usual cliches of, oh, he's hurt, I'm going to help him, no, don't, Dodo, it's a trick, blah, 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 blah. And as I said at the beginning of this podcast, where should we start with this serial? The end.
Okay, so not a huge amount to say about this serial, so I guess I'll go around and get final thoughts and goodbyes. Koki?
Yeah, final thought, it was simple. I mean, I enjoyed it when I realized I needed to drop my expectations. Isn't a good thing to say about a series, but the point is I could do that. It wasn't something painful for me. But yeah, that ending. It's like, oh, let me just eat this candy. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, right, actually, yes, that's its whole thing. Yes. Just, seriously, that bad guy who doesn't give a shit about human life or what have you, it's like you're going to eat his... And suddenly, it's interesting that it's the last gift from the Celestial Toymaker. Interesting, is it? And yes, seriously, why? Why would you... Look, children at home, right? You've heard about accepting candy from strangers. You definitely don't take candy from someone as strange as that.
Who has been trying to kill you throughout the episode.
Actually, I didn't mention that, but I didn't mention this, but when I saw that, I thought, what a contrived reason to write out Hartnell because of his health. I'm not sure if that's why, if they wanted him incapacitated for the next episode. That's what I immediately thought, because why? Why do you have him take candy from strangers and then collapse? But yeah.
Okay. You, James, your final thought and goodbye.
As you said, Alex, as we've discussed, this was made to be shown only once, like a small puppet theatre in your home. It's good for a bored child to watch on a wet Saturday afternoon in the 1960s when their friend is away. There is no such thing as internet. There are no other channels. There is nothing else to do.
And Koki, no one's invented games consoles.
Yeah, it's when it's literally a choice between this and 5-day cricket. This is the superior option. But yeah, it could have been done. It could have been done in one episode. And may the great holy donkey bless your house for 7 generations before he falls asleep from boredom.
And next week we have I would describe as an unforgettable episode.
Unforgettable in the sense of psychological trauma.
I feel like how much you built it up, it can't possibly be as bad as I'm imagining it.
This episode, not only once seen cannot be unseen, this serial will be permanently tattooed onto your brain.
I'm imagining Doctor Who in a bikini, but...
Okay, well that definitely would, I don't know how much eye bleach that would need, but right, but yes, without much further ado, can I even bring myself to say it? Here goes. Next episode, The Gunfighters.
I know, I can't. Oh God, I have to. It's in my contract.